Hello everyone and welcome to Ginger Prime. My name is Brian if you're new around here, but if you're a returning subscriber, welcome back, you soul legend. That's what you get for subscribing, by the way. Free compliments and sometimes random titles at the start of these videos. Today we're diving into the changes that have happened from the media tour for Endwalker to today. We actually have the full notes of all the skills, their actual potencies that you'll be playing when Endwalker goes live here in just a few hours from this recording. And this is to hopefully help give you just a little bit of insight if you want to make any adjustments or theorycraft anymore. All the source information is linked in the description if you guys want to go read for it yourself, but I'm going to show you guys and highlight the changes that you will notice when you go and play these new jobs, both Reaper and Sage being a focus of this video. Guys, as always, it helps to shout it out, so if you guys have not subscribed yet and you hit that subscribe button, I thank you so much. Let me know in the comments so I can welcome you to the channel. You can join the 25% of you who watch the videos and who are subscribed, and I appreciate that support. Also, if you get something good out of this video, liking it is a huge way of helping out the channel and these videos. Thank you for your time and attention on that, but let's go ahead and dive into the changes. Reaper is going to be short and sweet. If you're worried about any changes, in fact, you pretty much can go and note that Reaper's changes are locked in from what you've seen with the exception of one change. Bloodstock, this is a ability, had its potency decreased to 340 from 400. So not a huge change with this skill. Overall, this is pretty impressive. That literally is what I found when pouring through the Reaper skills and more. And honestly, when it comes to the new jobs, it actually made me think that Sage was going to be pretty much similar, and not the case. A lot of changes for Sage. We're about to go into them, but when it comes to the new jobs, typically they get a ton of attention. Same thing with Summoner. And that usually means that when you go hands-on with them, they're pretty close to being done. So having played Reaper, I was like, oh wow, that's actually pretty awesome that that's the only one change. So I think it's now time that we talk about the Sage changes, especially when it comes to healers. If you guys want to see me do more in-depth videos like this before Endwalker goes live, sound off in the comments below and I'll see what I can get done for you. But Sage changes are as thus. The potency has changed for Dosis from 240 to 300. This is a nice little boost in the potency overall, so you'll see that pretty much immediately. Then you can see Prognosis. Also, as a side note, I'm dyslexic. There's some people who can't stand my pronunciation of things. If you're one of them, just go read it for yourself. I wish you the best of luck. If you're not one of them, welcome. So anyway, MP has been reduced for Prognosis from 1,000 to 800. So a simple change there. Potency is increased from 360 to 400 for Phlegma. This is just the one change that you can see with that spell. Everything else remains the same. For Sotera, they've actually made a change from doubling the potency to just increasing it by 50%. Whether that ends up being a clarification or just like an English language change, I can't say for certain. Overall, it's a 50% boost. Before it said double. In my mind, double would mean 100%, so it looks like that got slashed, but that could have just been a translation issue in the tooltip from earlier. For Doloroche, MP has been increased from 5% to 7%. The same thing has been applied to Karashol, and finally even with Isla Sholi. All of these abilities have moved from 5% restore MP to 7%. So it's a real good change overall. Zoe is also no longer doubling the boost. It's now a 50% boost for your potency for your next healing spell. So that is essentially, again, whether that was an English language change or a clarification, either way, it's a 50% boost in potency. Recast time has been changed from Pepsis from 15 seconds to 30 seconds. And then going into Physis 2, recast time was cut to 60 seconds, but the cure potency was also cut to 130 from 200. So a slight reduction there, but overall, because it was a 180 skill, this is now a 60-second skill, so you're going to use it obviously more often. So technically, it is a boost. It is a buff there in that regards. Potency has been increased to 700, up from 600 for Doloroche. So that is a nice little increase in damage with that ability. This also still restores 5% of your maximum MP, as opposed to the other ones that are 7. I was curious to see if it was 7 across the board. That is actually not the case in this regards. Toxicon, it's had its potency decreased from 300 to 300, decreased to 300 from 320. Excuse my reading there. Then you also had Hamia. This is an interesting change. had its potency of its shield increased from 150 to 300. However, the stacks that remain still remain at the 150 mark. Before it was just 150 across the board. Now, if any remaining stacks are applied, those are just cured off at 150 rather than the 300% shield. If you guys don't know, you put a shield on, basically it adds 5 stacks. Every time that shield is quote unquote destroyed, it reapplies the shield, removing one of the stacks. So at the end of it, if any stacks remain, ba-boom, ba-boom, you end up getting a pretty decent cure. So that way it's not like a wasted ability in that regards. For hollows, they've added additional effect, reducing damage taken to self and party members by 10%. And for Fenheimia, the potency is increased to 200 for the base shield, was 100 or 150 in this case. And then after the shield is kicked off, rather than be at 150, it is actually now 100. So the base shield's been increased, and the cure potency of any remaining stacked shields has been decreased for that ability. Potency for the AoE is actually reduced from 40% down from 50% for Funima, either way. And the cure potency on it has actually increased to 600, up from 400 for this ability. And then finally, our last change for Sage is the potency is increased to 40 for base Eucrean Dosis, was 30. Now it is 40. Every other Dosis spell has actually remained the same in its potencies as well. So those are the core changes to the job. I think fundamentally with Sage, what we see here is just a MP management change. Like that is the biggest overall impact that I see with Sage. And I think the stacking shields change is interesting, giving more shields, but then at the same time, either less or remaining the same, or kind of a reduced cure if those shields aren't used. So that's, I think, very fascinating. I think ultimately I don't think it's changing the job and what we've played with it and how it plays at the media tour. This does feel like some solid changes and a really more mathematical changes based off of internal testing and final adjustments. Anyway, guys, those are the changes to Reaper and Sage. Hopefully you enjoyed this video. If you feel like I earned it, I'd love a like. If you feel like I earned it, say hi in the comments. That always helps me out, and I always like hearing from you guys. Hopefully, if you guys want any other videos like this, sound off below so I can see if I can get to them today. Thank you for your time, and I will see you in Endwalker.
Yes, Brian, teach me how to heal on a controller. Taking time to learn, it feels awkward. I'm using your layout for buttons, so I'm looking forward to that video. Hey, he's back. Glad you're feeling better. Can't wait for your Sage controller guide in the future. That's right, baby.
That's right, baby.